But yeah, let's dive into this Ben Shapiro nonsense. I cannot wait to hear what he has to say. My feelings about Ben Shapiro are that I don't hate him or anything. I just think he's kind of like the median neocon of the modern era. You know, that's kind of like his bag. So whenever I want to know, like, what is the mainstream neocon line on something, I'll go listen to Ben Shapiro because he just falls directly in line with all those other people. He's a little bit more populist than a lot of the other people that I listen to occasionally. Like I will listen to the people that do like the National Review. They have a podcast. I mean, it's awful. It's an awful podcast, and they're all just fucking assholes. They're the people that like are into politics for fun, and they're like never Trumpers, even though they're like, you know, supposedly conservative and all this shit. And Ben's a little bit more reasonable than those people. Those people are super high on their own supply. Can't even get through a fucking sentence. Hagbert says, I have a Chinese critter prop. His fur is made out of fiberglass. Oh, damn. Don't put it in your mouth. Made out of fiberglass. Those wacky Chinese. What will they think of next?
And let's be real about this. It's insane that we haven't raised the retirement age in the United States. It's totally crazy. Joe Biden, if that were the case, Joe Biden should not be running for president. Hey, Joe Biden is 81 years old.
Agreed. Agreed, Ben. But Joe Biden is too old. Trump is too fucking old. We should have a cap. You know, maybe the cap should be like the retirement age. Like, so people like Nancy Pelosi and Mitch McConnell and all these assholes that just hold their seat forever and never fucking leave and just drag everybody down with them.
The retirement age in the United States at which you start to receive Social Security and you are eligible for Medicare is 65. Joe Biden has technically been eligible for Social Security and Medicare for 16 years, and he wants to continue in office until he is 86, which is 19 years past when he would be eligible for retirement. No one in the United States should be retiring at 65 years old. Frankly, I think retirement itself is a stupid idea unless you have some sort of health problem.
Well, tell that to the guy that's been like a plumber since he was 20. Drumming says, I'm half and half on the set retirement thing because you have people that work a job for 20 years, then retire and draw a pension for another 20 or 30. Yeah, I mean, I understand that, but it's, I mean, with pensions and stuff, is it not based on like what you kind of put into it? Drumming says, but at the same time, that's a good thing for them. Yeah, I mean, I think it's something that people should be able to choose. Like, is it a great idea for everybody to retire? And by the way, most people, even though the retirement age is that, most people don't get to fucking retire. Like, if you're pulling Social Security and you're 65, you probably can't actually survive on that. That is not how it is anymore. But it should be your decision to make. It shouldn't be the government's decision to make. I mean, as a society, we decided like, well, this is about the time. And it was for considerations of like physical ability. That's where that retirement age comes from, because they wanted to appeal to working class people. They weren't trying to appeal to people that fucking sit in a chair and talk all day. Now, that's a fine job, just as any other job, but it's a different thing. And the idea that you're going to just be able to keep going forever in perpetuity it's kind of ridiculous. Hagbert says retirement age in his other country of citizenship is 62 for women and 65 for men. Yeah, he should go and tell them that. He should tell them, he should be like, hey, listen, dude. Listen, I don't know if this is right. Benny Netanyahu, you got to raise that age. Trembling says, and never retiring being an option, an opinion shows that this little dork has never worked physical labor. Yes, exactly. That's kind of what it feels like, right? You're like, okay, like, what do you mean? Nobody should retire at 65 or nobody should be able to. That's really what he's talking. He's talking about taking your access away to your social security. Because he's like, he must live on a different fucking planet if he thinks most people actually get to retire. Most people don't. I mean, anybody that didn't have like a good job and a good pension and had other things, other sources of retirement, don't get to retire. Hagbert says, I work a labor-intensive job. I'm going to struggle to 65. Exactly. And that's exactly what I'm talking about. It's not, and that's what it's designed for, too. Trumling says his family hasn't worked a trade in probably 100 years. I know his parents, at least his mother, wasn't she involved in like costume design or something? That's why he's so into musicals.
Everybody that I know who is elderly, who has retired, is dead within 5 years. And if you talk,
yeah, that's a joke, dude. That's not true. Everybody I know that's retired is dead within 5 years. Really? Well, they might have other problems going on. And it's also about like being able to have the money and the resources to go out and continue living a life and doing things that you hadn't done before. When my grandfather retired, I have two sets of grandparents just like everybody else. Congratulations, me. One set of grandparents. My Nana never worked after she got married. She stayed home. My grandfather worked. He worked for Harvard University down in their research department. He got a pretty good retirement, and he got to retire early. He got to retire in like his late 50s. He found things to do. He just died a couple years ago, but it was from other things, health complications. It wasn't because he slowed down. It wasn't because he stopped. His body told him he had to stop. He didn't have a choice. But my other grandparents, no, they still work to this day for the most part. My one grandmother, who's like just in her early 80s, basically had to stop working because she's blind. So, and she pulls her Social Security. Like we paid into it. We pay into it. It's ours, Ben. It's ours. It's not just for the government to do whatever the fuck it wants, even though that's exactly what it does, and none of it's there. I mean, what is the rationale behind increasing the retirement age if not to stop, like kind of shore up having to give people that money, having to pay people out? Trump says he doesn't think his sister should ever be able to retire from the milk farm. Got to milk her until it's just powdered milk. Well, that's their way. That's their people. That's their culture. You know, Trembling, I can't. Who am I to sit in judgment, to stand in judgment of this beautiful culture of milkers?
talk to people who are elderly and they lose their purpose in life by losing their job and they stop working, things go to hell in a handbasket real quick.
Yeah, it's generally because if they have nothing in their lives, if they don't have family, they don't have friends, they don't have the resources to do other things because their Social Security is not going to pay for shit. Who the fuck are you talking about, Ben?
But put all of that aside, just on a fiscal level and on a logical level. When Franklin Delano Roosevelt established 65 as the retirement age, the average life expectancy in the United States was 63 years old. Today, the average life expectancy in the United States is close to 80.
So let's make it just as ridiculous as it was back then. Let's make the promise that like you'll be dead before you get to collect this. Let's do it together, Ben. Me and you. I can feel it. Trembling says neither side has ever known what they are talking economically from my perspective. I agree.
It's totally insane that you believe that you should be able to work from the time that you are essentially 20 to the time that you are 65, which is a 45-year period, pay in, and then you will receive Social Security benefits sufficient to support you and your family, you and your wife or whatever, for like another 20 years. That's crazy talk. That is not fiscally sustainable. The notion that
then people shouldn't have to pay into it. Then, like if that's your argument, then we shouldn't have to pay into it. Do you think Ben would support that? I don't know what would happen. Would we like be able to stop giving money to other countries and shit, Ben? Should we stop paying into Social Security? Like this idea that you could ever have a comfortable life, that you could ever not work yourself to death all the time is anathema to people like Ben. It's just ridiculous. Why would it be ridiculous? You're getting what you fucking paid in, Ben. And that's what it is. And people, again, because this fucking chud is a spoiled rich asshole, most people don't get to retire. They don't get to retire. They collect their Social Security. They go work a part-time job at a grocery store or something. We've all seen it, right? You guys go grocery shopping. You see all the old people working at the grocery store. You see the old greeters at Walmart checking your receipt, trying to check your receipt. I just give them the finger. Not really. You know what I mean? It's really fucking annoying to hear people like this say this kind of shit. Like if this would go down a lot easier if it was from like a working class person or just like a regular somebody else that's not a professional know nothing. It would probably go down a little smoother. Trumping says it's either Scrooge level, pull yourself up by the bootstrap shit on the right, or mega taxes and suicidal altruism on the left. You're right. There is no center. That's it. Hagrid says, but he wants a bigger Iron Dome. That's right, buddy. Sorry, you're going to be working till you're 75. We got other countries to shore up.
If you have to raise the retirement age to 67 or 68, that everyone is going to fall apart. My parents are that age. My parents are not retired. And they shouldn't retire.
What do your parents do for a living, Ben? They're out there breaking rocks.
It would be very bad for them to retire. By the way, it's disrespectful to people who are 67, 68, 69 years old to suggest that they are in the same shape as people who are 65 were in 1940. It's not true at all. Have you met?
So would it be okay if somebody would have the physical ability to enjoy some of their life? Is that cool with you? Like, what are you saying? Just because people are physically able, well, I mean, you only worked for 45 years, which is also not normally true. If you're like a working class poor person, you've probably had a job since you were like, well, if you were from my generation, you probably had a job since you were like 14, 15.
Had a 65-year-old lately? 65-year-olds are not old in the United States. They're not. 68-year-olds are not old in the United States.
So?
Again, Joe Biden thinks he's not old, and that dude is running for president again, and that dude actually is old. And
he's old as fuck, Ben.
He's 81. I failed to see how a country in which our entire leadership class is 80 plus is telling you that we should have a retirement age of 65. It makes no sense at all.
Well, I guess that was it. So, in fairness, this is from Media
And let's
Matters.
be real about this.
And this is from Media Matters. So they are, obviously famous for disingenuously clipping people out. But he lays his case out pretty succinctly there. I don't think that there's really any context missing from that, because it's come up in the past couple of years about whether or not we're going to raise the retirement age. There were literal riots in France over this. Was it like last year? Maybe 2 years ago? Literal fucking riots because they wanted to raise the retirement age to like 68. Old people aren't having it. If I was like 64 and a half and I'm hearing that this bill is about to be passed, I would lose my fucking mind. It would be like typical, just my fucking life, just my luck. Shit always happens to me. Always. Anyways. So that's the Ben Shapiro segment. I can't believe that shit. Like, it is an election year. Like, what the fuck are you doing? This is like him. Is this a psyop? Is this their way of like kind of demoralizing the Republican base, whatever, by putting out these ideas that the Republican Party wants to extend out fucking the retirement age? Great job, guys. Just great job all around. Fucking assholes. No, I'm all jacked up. I'm all upset now. All right, I gotta cool down. We gotta go back to something light. We gotta go back to something light. We're gonna dip in and out of this video. So